Today I'm gonna sculpt a thing. Sometimes when I get sick of drawing stuff, I like to sculpt things, and this is one of those things. As you can see, there's a lot of bits. Well, there's a lot of something. I like to make a lot of basic shapes before I get started and just kind of smash them all together. See here, I'm smoothing him out, just sticking his legs on or whatever. It doesn't really matter at this point. Sculpting's kind of like drawing. You start with this very basic outline and then you just kind of roll with it after that. I actually think sculpting's a little more lenient than drawing because you can kind of just mush things around until it works. Yeah, just smoosh his legs on. So doing sculpts like this, it takes a long time. It took me a really long time to do this one. I think everything I do takes about 14-15 hours to finish. But it can be a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's certainly a better step than doing drawings all the time. I had to speed this video up like 20 times just so that I could fit it into a time frame that made sense. Yeah, there's a lot of things I did wrong in this, by the way. If you go through and look and you see a bunch of stuff that I could have done better, I know. But what fun would the comment section be if I told you all of the things I did wrong? But, I mean, okay, I'll tell you a couple of things I did wrong. For one, I could have made a little armature out of this thing with some of the aluminum that I have. I got so excited about sculpting this thing, I didn't. Whoops. It probably would have been better and I would have used less materials if I did. But... So I do have a little bit of a background for this guy. I keep calling him a flesh dragon, but I think I'm going to change it to maybe a scaleless dragon just because I think it sounds nicer. I'm creating this world I call the Yawner World, and this this dragon guy, he has no scales. He's just all skin, squishy skin, and he breathes fire. So he melted all the skin off of his face with his own fire, and he's really weak to a lot of things. And I just thought it would be fun to create this little kind of sad story about this poor little dragon guy. I mean, it might be funny, it might be sad, but it would be fun to just create something a little different. The Yawner World is a pretty weird place. You may have noticed I have like a ton of sculpting tools just sitting around. I buy a lot of tools. I don't really know which ones I'm going to want or which ones I'm going to use, and I tend to only stick to maybe, I don't know, 4 basic ones. I really like the wood tools, and then I got those embossing like tools as a bonus for part of the set, so I use those sometimes too. But you don't have to have a bunch of tools to make something look cool. It's really just a matter of your personal preferences. You're just gonna have to play with clay and figure out what you like. Here's another reason why the armature would have been a good idea. I could have built him in pieces, like I could have done his feet separately, his head separately, his arms separately, and then just reattach them onto his body. And doing it this way, the way I did it, it just made it so much harder. I think the reason it took so long to finish was just because of the fact that I did not build him in pieces. I mean, getting the details for like the skin folds and stuff took way longer just because I had to finagle my tool into these little spots and spaces that I wouldn't have had to deal with if I just did separate pieces. So if you're gonna build a piece that has any kind of complexity at all, just build it in separate parts and reattach them later. One of my favorite parts of doing sculpts like this is just adding little details, so sometimes I can get really caught up on doing every little detail too early. And just like drawing, you want to make sure that you get everything kind of set in place before you start detailing every little thing. And I think I was getting frustrated with doing the building part of him and getting all those pieces to fit right because I didn't put them in piece by piece. So I just started detailing certain parts way too early, and this caused me to have to go back because I detail early, flip them around, and my hand smashes parts, and then I have to go back and redo those parts again. So you don't really have to detail too early. Not unless you want to kind of mess something up. Another funny thing about doing all this building with white clay is the fact that there is so much dust that gets picked up in this thing. I mean, I'm glad you can just sand most of it out and then paint over it, because there was a lot of dust on this guy. He was gonna look like a kind of a hairy looking dragon instead of a skin dragon. Yeah, I worked on his backbone details here. I didn't show a whole lot of me working on exact details, but this is just a piece of how I kind of made it work. Yeah, I bought one of those cheap cake things at Michael's, and I use it for my clay. Yeah, there's all the dust. You can definitely see dust everywhere. After this bit, I kind of just go into sanding him down because I got some wet dry sandpaper, and you need to kind of sand out those bumps and ridges and stuff that built up during the the sculpting phase, and it does help get a lot of sandpaper. Just cut little squares out, get some water. You gotta get the wet dry sandpaper. And I really did smooth down a lot of big areas, but there were some areas I had a hard time getting to, so I just skipped them. And that about wraps up everything I did a pre-painting phase. In another video I'll show the painting phase of this guy. And that's about that. I hope you could have learned something from all that sculpting. If you'd like to see the next video, make sure that you subscribe or click the bell icon so you can get notified of my videos, because I don't always upload consistently right now, so just in case, you'll be notified as soon as I upload something. And if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you didn't like the video, leave a dislike and tell me why. Thank you so much for watching this, and when you're doing art, remember, we got this.